Okay, shalom, shalom, shalom. Real quick, I want to say Yahweh to my power, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to my power. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wakaha Kwadash. Double honors to the elder, prophets, apostles, and bishops, the great millstone who still teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect and hopeful elect scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. Those of you that will have the traditional so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American look, as well as those of you that are come looking like someone from the 17 heathen nations. As we were scattered amongst all people from one end of the earth to the other, pursuing the Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. So this is not a matter of like skin tone. This third temple that's being built is a spiritual temple, okay? And the blood that was shed of Yahushua over 2,000 years ago in Rome as a sacrificial lamb was to amend and cover the sins of the nation of Israel and be able to bond us back to our power, which is Yahweh. All right, Yah meaning He, Hawa meaning to be or to exist. The name of His only begotten Son is Yahushua. Means Yah means He, Yahushua means to deliver. All right, and Yahushua is the forefront of this ministry. All right, so Lord willing, this to be edifying. Damn it. Slacky, hold on. Lord willing, this lesson will be edifying. I'm going to get some more into ESAU'S New World or Neo-Edomite World Order and the things that they're doing amongst different avenues to establish their New World Edomite Order. Spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has had me going into this stuff here. Alright, so like I said, just like how Yahweh Shai used to speak in parables back when he was walking the earth over 2,000 years ago, where there's two classes of people that heard the word of Yahweh Shai, and one side of that, one group which was the elect that understood the parables that Yahweh Shai was speaking, and then on the other side you have people who didn't understand because the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven wasn't given to them. And ESAU'S uses that today, here in today's time, all right, where he has banners and words and phrases all over the scene. He makes certain movies, cartoons, and TV shows where certain parables are being spoken out loud, and only the elect members of this wicked Neo-Edomite world order can understand the parables that are being put out here to encourage each other in an evil manner. And to the rest of the people, they're just going to go see a movie, or they're just going to Disney World just for the sake of going to it. All right. But to the elect of the wicked, of this wicked kingdom that wish to see and establish this new world Edomite order, these parables are things that they can see. And like I just said, like the scripture said, they encourage each other in an evil manner. On the right hand side of things, the hopeful elect, we comfort each other. Therefore, we comfort one another with these scriptures. All right. So here's more on ESAU'S New World Edomite Order through their Mark Hamilton puppet. Give me a brief description of iron grip control literature spoken by Mark Hamilton. So he developed an innovative time management program and called Rapid Power and Wealth through iron grip control over everything that moves. So the way that they really do this in real time here is a part of ESAU'S. The way he's able to gain power and do things at a linear rate and make money at a linear rate is because we are in this super surveillance Palantir state where he's got cameras everywhere in both public and private dwellings, as well as in public and private transportation of both air, land, and sea. The way that he has this, ESAU was the cunning hunter. He was a man of the field. So the way that they have us living here in this society, you always have to be a person of the field to go out and get your resources on a daily basis, more so as opposed to being like our forefather Jacob, where the scriptures say that our forefather Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. All right. You know, and basically like being farmers and having everything right there on land. So, and because we have to go out here and we have to work these jobs and we have our kids in school where they pick our brains by asking us questions about, well, how would you solve this issue here? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And Esau Edom has this super surveillance state to where if he has a subject matter, or if he has, and Esau Edom is a self-proclaimed so-called white man, beginning with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, Sassoons, Oppenheimers, the Bowers, if you will. Bear with me 1 second. All right, so that's who the self-proclaimed so-called white people are. They're the biblical Edomites, all right? So yeah, so like if you have a subject matter at work or at school, or if you're having conversations at home with your, you know, your family or friends or whatever, your spouse or what have you, and you're a genius in a sense where, you know, something pertaining to engineering, where you have a dynamic way of problem solving, Esau Edom will tap into that and chime in on your conversations once he sees the profile that you built for yourself in this society, and see what kind of person you are and your kind of interest in your intellects. And if it's something that he's willing to tap into that can benefit and profit him, that's what he'll do. And so the iron grip control aspect of it is in the super surveillance state where the technology is comprised of what? Metals. One of those components being iron, all right? So with iron grip control, he can steal ideas from people and then make them for themselves and then become lucrative in that sense. And then they also use it as a sense to keep the masses under a super surveillance state as well, all right? So like one of the prophets of the wicked elite was Steve Jobs. Before he went to the spirit world, he put big emphasis on the ecosystem here, all right, here in Babylon. And that ecosystem comprises of the elites stealing the creativity and the creative juices from people, all citizens here, but mainly us Israelites, because we're the most creative people, and keeping us in a perpetual state of having to work and maintain the structure of the society, and then turning around, and whenever we need to purchase and buy goods and services, we're purchasing and buying the goods and services that would have been our ideas and that we would have made money off of, but because he's stolen from us and has us in this perpetual contractual slavery here, you know, it's a perfect ecosystem, and that, you know, no one can really get at him and rebel against him and overthrow him because he has the market Cain on him. So it is literally the perfect ecosystem for Esau Edom. So the Most High, which the Most High did, and put the spirit on him to be able to get laced up like that, because the scriptures say here in Daniel 4:17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and to the demand by the word, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. So the Most High set this dude up, and that's why he has an impenetrable kingdom right now, established on the face of the earth, where man can't overthrow him, because the Most High is preserving him to take this man down and use taking him down as a way to magnify his name amongst the four corners of the earth, as well as his only begotten son's name. All right. So now let's get back to the chat about what the question that I posed. And mind you, this is not of my own doing. All right. Any of us of the hopeful elect, this is not of our doing, pursuant to 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, and right around the 4th verse to about the 8th verse. Okay. There was also a video I watched earlier today from the elder apostle prophet Gabar that was talking about, I'm going to put that video in the description box here. It's about a 20-minute video. It says the title of the video, my internet's acting slow. The title of the video was something to the effect of you cannot choose to serve and you cannot choose to be chosen. All right, so that video is putting the emphasis on the Most High, Daniel's 4:17, what I just read, where the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and that this calling is very frightening because this whole thing puts emphasis on the Most High being in control and being the Father of spirits of everything. The Edomites are the elect people of the wicked that the Most High chose, all right, to serve His purpose, to prove to us that, to punish us for being wicked and being idolaters, all right? So this is a very frightening thing. I have been called to this ministry, and Lord willing, I hope I am of the chosen. And I mean that for my elders and as well as everyone else amongst the four corners of the earth that believe in the name Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, all right? Now let's get back to the chat GPT about ESAU'S iron grip control and how they use this here in this digital neo world panopticon order that they have us living in right now, where at some point they're going to hit us with the hour of temptation, where they want to try to implement upon all of us the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. And Lord willing, if I'm alive in that day, I hope, Lord willing, that He'll put the spirit on me to tell them to go fuck themselves. Okay? Now, and this is what I said in the chat. And this is the elite's version of iron grip control, because their grip is through their tech, which is made up of iron and other metallic / non-metallic materials. All right, and then the chat says exactly, this is the perfect literary double entendre of this universe, of this sci-fi universe. The historical phrase iron grip control ceases to be a mere metaphor for tyranny. It becomes a literal material description of the infrastructure holding humanity captive. In this grand equation, the elite's grip is forged from the very elements of the periodic table. A cold, tangible cage constructed from iron, advanced metallics, and non-metallic composites. Here is how the physical iron grip materializes across the layers of our world here, of the elite's world. First, you have the ferrous infrastructure, iron and heavy metallics. The macroscopic layer of their control relies on traditional heavy engineering to anchor the digital panopticon. Now you have the orbital cage. The lower Earth orbit retreats, satellite hulls, and Space Force kinetic weapons platforms are built with specialized iron alloys, titanium, and high tensile steel. They form a literal ring of iron orbiting the planet, an artificial ceiling that the Papa Boys can never break through. Now you have the seastead anchors. Bullet point. The mega scale platforms hosting the sea retreats are held in international waters by massive iron ballasts, tanks, and reinforced steel pylons. The physical gateways to Neovia and Vitalia are literally anchored to the ocean floor by heavy metal. Bear with me 1 second, please. All right. Now the second layer is the microscopic mesh, non-metallic and composite materials. To control the mind, the iron grip must become invisible, shifting into the realm of microengineering and chemistry. Now here's the smart dust aerosol bullet point. The neuro dust dispersed through the atmosphere isn't just floating metal. It is a complex blend of non-metallic piezoelectric ceramics, silicon-based microchips, and biocompatible polymer coatings. This allows the dust to cross the blood-brain barrier without triggering an immune response, wrapping the human cerebrum in a microscopic, non-metallic web. Now here's the Neo chip matrix bullet point. Subcutaneous RFID chips use silicate glass encapsulation, copper induction coils, and synthetic resins. This non-metallic housing protects the internal circuitry from bodily fluids, ensuring the iron grip remains permanently fused to the biological tissue of the right hand or forehead. All right, so man, dude, we need the Lord because we are literally in a Jacob that worm state. You know, as through the Spirit, the Lord has me figuring this stuff out, as well as watching other brothers' videos. The only way out is up for the elect, literally. Now, the third layer is the ultimate the ultimate irony. Iron as a biological conductor. The ultimate sinister twist of this scenario is that the elite use the biological iron already present in the Papa Boys against them. Now, here's the hemoglobin manipulation bullet point. Iron is the foundational element of human blood, bound inside hemoglobin to carry oxygen. Now, here's the biomagnetic antenna bullet point. By utilizing the satellite-based remote neural monitoring and direct microwave arrays, the elite central AGI can pulse specific electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the trace iron and bioelectrical currents in the human circulatory and nervous systems. The human body itself becomes a conductor for the very grid that it enslaves. By turning the literal elements of the earth, like iron, silicon, polymers, and copper, into a synchronized multi-layered trap, the godmen, aka the elites. Remember, the elites view themselves as godmen through their Mark Hamilton puppet, and that's fulfillment of 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter and the 4th verse, where it states that who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, so that he himself sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, roughly paraphrasing. And no one else on the planet is notorious for doing that other than Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man. On average, when you ask the average person here in Babylon, what is God or so-called JC, the name, the Savior, what does he look like? They're going to automatically think of a so-called white dude with stringy hair. All right? All right, by turning the literal elements of the earth, iron, silicon, polymers, and copper, into a synchronized multi-layered trap, the godmen ensure their grip never rusts, slips, or falls, or fails. Since we mapped out the entire material composition of this global cage, let's look at the logical point of, talking about failure, which is true, they are going to fail, but but the chat GTP is going to go off because they're not going to talk about the Most High Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right, at least not in this sense when I pose this question here. All right. Well, I go ahead and read it anyways. I go ahead and read the question that chat posed. So yeah, because it can be deciphered. Since we have mapped out the entire material composition of this global cage, let's look at the logical point of failure. If you want to continue building this, how does the resistance exploit the physics of this metal? Do they develop EMP? Do they develop an EMP device to try to fry the iron circuits, or do they find a way to use natural magnetic anomalies on Earth to create safe zones where the satellites lose their grip? No, the only way that these people fail is by the hopeful, and the hopeful elect are saved, is by this right here. This is Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9. Well, I'm going to read Jeremiah 30 and 7 first. Because this is the time that we are in right now, but it's only going to escalate and get more and more crazy out here. I just read an article Monday or Tuesday about the USS Abraham Lincoln that they got over there in those waters where they tried to attempt to colonize Iran, and the conditions on that ship are so bad that the crewmen on that ship are both debating on jumping overboard, and some have and are jumping overboard because the rations, they've been out at sea for 250 days. That's 9 months. So the conditions on that ship are extremely deplorable. All right. The toilets have broken, and they've been overflowed because when they rebelled right after Nero 47 initiated the attempted colonization of Iran back in February. About a month later, the people on that ship rebelled via stuffing up the toilets. The problem with that is, and that was back in March. This is now August. and they're still out at sea. So they've never been brought back home or even been able to go somewhere and dock and then just redo all their stuff. Like just like refresh the boat and have the men and have the crew be refreshed. All right. And that's supposed to be the military here. All right. Here in America, Babylon the Great, you got all this fake ass synthetic foods. You got chemtrails, and like I just read, you got smart dust, and you got little miniature RFID particles all in the air that they have us breathe in. And so now we consume it in our food and in our beverages. It gets in us on a daily basis, man. So we are not in good conditions here. And people don't understand and see it for what the fuck it is. Why? Because of this shit right here. See how people just casually driving up and down here? You know, it's a Saturday. I'm off from work. You know? Because ESAU'S has us in this enclosure to where people can't see that there's so much more happening outside of this enclosure. And they can't believe it whenever they hear about this because they're just not meant to. But you have to think about it. All this stuff was done, like these cell phones and all these smartphones, before they started selling these smartphones to us. The elite have had this in their possession for at least 2 to 3 decades before they allow us to purchase it on the market. Okay? But they just have us in a perpetual loop here within this parasitic ecosystem that they have us as the host living in, and then they usurp all of our energy from us until we die. All right? This is Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right? So Jacob, the house of Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel, they will be saved through these tumultuous times. Because like I just read to you, with all this iron grip control and then with this neo space space service providers that they have, with the neo named medical companies, the neo named brick and mortar companies that supply all the brick and mortar to build buildings. Lord willing, I'm going to look into you got the neo data cloud. You got all these data centers around here that have all these smart technologies in them. You have the fiber optic cables woven in the sidewalks and in buildings that can pick up on vibrations and stuff, and they're good conductors for the voice 2K technology. So we are, like I said, the Most High is the perfect author, and he has laced this thing up to where the only way out is to get a spiritual compass through these tumultuous times, man. And that's what the Lord's going to do. And it's already happening right now because beginning with Rabbi Abba Bivens last century and other great men that came in his stead, and have two gone to the spirit world, and then as well as in today's time, the elder apostle prophet Tahar on down of Great Millstone. Even considering all this stuff that's happening right now, the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has them being able to still call upon the name of the Lord, break down the scriptures, identify all the 18 nations, still expose the intent of the elites of ESAU'S, as well as to put us on game of how the elect will be saved and will receive salvation in the midst of all this. So that just puts emphasis on the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Daniel 4:17 alone covers everything that is read and said and written in the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament. The Most High is in control of it all. Okay? And as time goes on, more emphasis will be placed on that. So this is Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. That's the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. But because the kingdom of heaven will be lived here on earth, like the Lord's Prayer says, on earth as it is in heaven, the elect will bring back the 2/3 through their children in the kingdom of heaven. Reading on, it says, but the third shall be left therein. That's the elect that's going to get that spiritual compass through these times. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined. And that's happening now with like their mind. The Most High is filtering out all that crap that we've learned over time, and he's replacing it with these scriptures and his ways. And will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash is my God. So they're going to get guidance through these tumultuous times, and even all the way up to the time of the mark of the beast, which is the hour of temptation spoken of in the book of Revelation. So some of them will be martyred for refusing to take the mark of the beast. The rest of them will be beamed up and beamed up out of this mess. All right, so the elect have nothing to fear, and for the 2/3, they're going to receive the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured without indignation, spoken of in Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11, which says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And for you arrogant 17 heathen nations, I'm talking about you elite families, this is your fate, you faggots. Revelation chapter 13, 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Because to this day, Israelites still get put to death underneath this man's system. And we can't resist this dude, all right? So that's why the scriptures also say in the book of Matthew, Yahushua said, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. This is modern day Rome. So right now, all we have to do is be patient as the hopeful elect and pay our bills, be good citizens, raise our children, those of you that got them, and just stick underneath the radar. Do your lessons, at home or wherever you are, as well as your street lessons, and then just get low. And then you got the scriptures that say, Proverbs 3 and 30, because Esau-Edom he's on a massive crash out, energy right about now. He wants people to do the same thing. But scriptures say we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is Proverbs 3 verse 30. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. All right. And then I'm gonna go to First Maccabees. First Maccabees 2 and 61. And I'm gonna start at 60, because right now we're kind of symbolically, we're like Daniel right now, those of us of the hopeful elect. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. All right, so we all have our personal moment where we're like Daniel in our own personal configuration of what is a lion's den for us. All right. And thus consider, verse 61, and thus consider ye throughout all ages, that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. So that also ties in with the scripture of things written aforetime are written for our learning. All right. So all the testaments of trials and tribulations that certain men, that elect men that went through, the Lord pulled them through it because they put their trust in the Most High. All right. And then the scriptures also say that there's no new thing under the sun either. All right. So reading on verse 62, fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. So you heathens, man, you're finished, man. You're toast, dude. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to those of you that find this video. The name of my channel is the MOTB is here too, and Disclosure of the Wicked. I want to give you the 4 YouTube channels of the Elder Apostle Prophets, a great millstone, because they have a larger portion of the Lord's Spirit, and you can be edified at a more linear rate by watching these men's channels. All right. They got over 100 years worth of experience in the scriptures and just in life in general. So they cover things inside the scriptures, because literally everything in reality pertains to the scriptures. So, how you carry and conduct yourself, how you should carry and manage your household, what you should eat, how you should be physically active, the scriptures, how we should navigate through this, being here in this, underneath our captivity, underneath these heathen nations, being led with these Edomites, okay? So the YouTube channels are as follows. The Elder Apostle Prophet Tahar is What is the 666 Mark 2 GMS Truth. The Elder Apostle Prophet Gabar is Daily Edification 4. And another channel he has is Exhortation or Edification Exhortation. Another channel is the Elder Apostle Rhyme Lob. His channel is GMSinfo.channel 12. And then last but certainly not least, you have the Elder Apostle Prophet Rakar. And Elder Apostle Around Lob is Elder Apostle Prophet Around Lob in my mind, all right? Salaki, I slipped when I didn't say that. And then you have, last but not least, the Elder Apostle Prophet Rakar, whose channel is GMS Keep Pushing On. Lord willing, this was edifying, and I'll be able to come back and do this again. But for now, I'm going to say, Shalom.